wise man from the village was leaving tomorrow. He had arrived at the School of Knowledge 40 years ago. He was denied access when he came to the gates of the school, for he was too young to learn in the institution. The young man was impatient and tried bribing the gatekeeper, but his attempts were refused. The young man did not have the patience to wait until he was old enough to be granted admission and left the gates of the institution to earn his living in the city until he was old enough to be granted admission. The young man could find no work in the city. He had been a farmer in his village but did not have the skills required for the jobs he aspired to do in the city, all of which were white-collar jobs. A man once promised to teach him the skills of plumbing and pay him to work with him. But the young man declined the offer, for he wanted better. The young man was homeless, had no work, and no one would listen to him. He still aspired to be someone great, but failed to listen to advice of anyone who told him to be humble and begin working with anyone who offered him a small or lowly job. Frustration grew in the young man's mind. He began to question why things weren't going his way. His hate for his fellow citizens grew, and with time he started finding comfort in drugs. The young man started stealing for a livelihood, and every penny stolen was used on drugs and alcohol. He forgot his dream of bettering himself and withdrew into his drug-induced dreams. One day the young man was caught stealing. The court looked carefully into the young man's life and decided to sentence him to work in the School of Knowledge until they deemed him to be reformed. Correctional officers brought the young man to the School of Knowledge. Nothing had changed since the last time the young man came to the gates of the institution. His first job in the institution was sitting down with the gatekeeper he once tried to bribe. The young man had to sit patiently with the gatekeeper and follow his commandments. He had to smile to anyone that came to the institute and open the gate for anyone that was allowed entry. When the gatekeeper was satisfied with the change in the young man's character, the young man was given access to enter the School of Knowledge. Inside, the young man was to be a cleaner. The young man worked tirelessly to clean the institution. As a cleaner, he was given keys to access classrooms of the institution, and the young man was careful not to break the trust. Once the man's work as a cleaner was seen to be sufficient, the young man was taught to cook, and with time the young man learnt and became one of the chefs of the institute. When he had completed all his tasks in the kitchen, the young man would sit in classes and listen to lectures on the fundamentals of knowledge of the self and how one can become better. The young man had come to love the school that he had cooked for and looked after. Since he was now old enough to enter the school, he asked for permission. The young man was told he could enter as a novice. He would have to work in the school to pay for his position by working in the veggie garden. In time, he completed his studies, went into the world, learnt more about farming, eventually applied for and was granted position of head gardener at the School of Knowledge, where he worked in the garden and taught young boys how to care for the garden.